Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this tutorial, we'll talk about how to use Makefiles. It's a very useful tool for developers and DevOps engineers. Makefile contains a list of commands that are to be run and the order in which it should be run. A popular use case of Makefiles is to shorten commands. For example, you might have a command like this. You might have a command like this and you want to shorten it. This command is kind of long to write out. That's if you want to just run, this is just a basic command to run make migrations. But since the Django application is running in Docker, in Docker Compose, we will need to write it this way. But this is kind of long to start typing out just to do make migrations. So how Makefile could be useful is you could just have something like this here, migrations, and you come here, press tab. Well, this is all you need. So now if you go to your terminal, you could use any terminal for this. Just make sure that you are in the right directory. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is just do make. Make is the command to run make files. Make migrations from here. Migrations. Migrations. And we can run this now. We can see now it attempts to run this command by just saying make migration. It attempts to run this command. We don't have a Docker image running at the moment, so this is not going to run, but at least you see that it attempts to run it. Let's just clear. Since I've seen an example, let's just look at what uh, the structure of make files look like. Or you have the targets, then you have the dependencies. Not all commands have dependencies. Like we did before, we didn't have any dependencies, so we didn't put. So the dependency could be here. Next tab. Then tab. No. Let's give it the and tab here. Then write our command. So command will be here. So this is the basic structure of every makefile or every command you're supposed to put in your makefile. So now let's see a simple example. Right now I have main.py here and I have this 1 plus 3 and I have utils of py here. This is 5 plus 3. We could run main.py by just saying change this to main. By the way, this could be any name. This could be any name, but we'll see the exceptions. But for now, let's just work with this. Then the command is python main.py. So if you run make main, the main is gotten from the target here. Main, I'll see that it runs 3 plus 1, which is this. So we could also have another command here, another target. This is the target. So we could have another target here on the same file, utils and utils.py. So we can do utils here, and you see that it runs this utils.py. So that's basically it for just a simple application of Makefiles. So let's clear this so we could have room. Remove this, or we can bring it back. I think we can still use this. And next, we are going to be working on how to use variables in Makefile. There are sometimes you might want a particular variable or a particular keyword to be flexible. Let's say now we have Python here, but what if we have like 20 commands, 20 targets and everything, and we want to change the variable for Python. We need to change the version of Python here. We might need to start going to update each occurrence of Python here. So let me say we want to put 3 here. So we might need to go to each places where we see Python and put 3. This might not be efficient when trying to update your Makefile. I know this is a simple example, but there are some cases where you might need this with a lot of targets. So what we can do for this is, let's just remove this for now. Let's say I'm using Python 3.10. Let's say now we want to make this variable, this keyword flexible. What we can do is, we can say Python is equal to Python 3.10. So to reference this Python here, what we'll do is $sign and parenthesis or brackets. So we'll do that for here too. So you see now, if I want to change this to 3, it's really easy to change this to 3. But let's see how this runs first. So let's just say, let's run the same command, make main. Oh, okay, I see what the problem is. We're supposed to reference the key. We're supposed to reference the key here, and it's alright. So this should work now. Make main, and you see that it uses 3.0. So if we change this to, let's say 3, and run make main again, you see that it uses Python 3. Even though it's the same thing, I'm just using this as an example of how we can use variables in your Makefile. And let's get some space here. So now let's see how we can use the dependencies. I went ahead to create some files that we might use for this, or we will use for this. This is just a file that opens a data.csv file and saves this and writes this to the file. And this just processes the file and turns it into text. Like here, we have a name Alice 30. It processes this file and just turns it into a text. Alice is then age here, then years old. So what we can do now is to use, okay, we can use this as a dependency. So what we can do now is data, that is the target, a dependency generates data.py and tab. Then we can run this file here by saying python generate.py. So this output is going to be stored in the target. This output here is going to be stored in the target, and it will also be created here. So instead of using the file that is being created here, what you can do is utilize this as a dependency. Utilize this data as a dependency, like this. Um, process process data. We are bringing in the data now. Tab, and we'll now run process data. Process. So let's just remove this variable first. Now we can see how this runs. Let's first run data to generate the dependency that we need to run the process. So what we can do now is make data. You see now here, data is generated, and here, data is here. So we can just do make process now. You can see now we are not referencing this data here. We are referencing this target as a dependency. We will see why that is soon. So let's just run this first process. Process. Okay, I missed Python here. Python. Let's run this. All right. Everything works perfectly. Everything works perfectly. I think one data is missing here. Okay, no. Everything works perfectly. So I mentioned earlier that there are some limitations to what you can use as your target. One of those limitations is if you have, so let's just delete this first. Oh, we didn't need to delete that, but if we have a file with the name data, if we have a file with the name data in the same directory as the makefile, what is going to happen here is makefile for some reason is going to reference this file. Instead of treating this as a command, it's going to reference this file. So if you run make data, you'll see that it says it's up to date because there is a file here. So to stop this from happening, we will have to use the keyword phony. To do this, we can use phony and put data here. Now that data is phony, we can run the command again, make data, and you see that it works perfectly. So that's the limitation of targets. So generally, what I do is I make all my I make all my targets phony just to remove any form of mistakes. Let's talk about description in your target. Each target should have a description just in case you have like a contributor or a teammate where you will need to tell them what each target is doing, and some of the commands might not be self-explanatory, so you still need comments here. So what we can do is use uh, this. Let me just bring it in. You can see phony that we mentioned earlier here, but this is a description of each target and what it's doing. Now you see here, run, check, we have check here, clean, we have clean here, and it has the descriptions. So what we did here is just make a target that will echo all these descriptions. So if we run make help, if we run make help, we will see these descriptions of all the targets that are available. Make help. Missing separator. Okay, I think we have an issue with, yeah, we are using spaces here instead of tab. It's not going to work. So you can just highlight this, then Control D if you're using Visual Studio Code to highlight everywhere four spaces appear, and just use tab. So if we try to run it now, we should see that, yeah, it works. Available targets, run, what it does, check what it does. This could be enough for most people, but if you have lots of targets and you need to extract the comments dynamically without having to come here and do echo and type everything out here, there is a simpler way. There is a script in which you could use to get this list dynamically. But first, we will, or let's not remove this. We can have a comment here, like we use hashtag to write comments in Makefiles. So we'll just do the same for, just copy this here and put here. So you do the same for each target. So I went ahead to do for each target. We can remove this and bring in the script. I think I'll add the script to the video description. Yeah, so this is just using grep and awk to get to do the word processing and getting the hashtag comments and listing it out. I think we need to change something here. This we are using hashtag one hashtag, so we need to change this depending on how many hashtags you're using. So we can remove this now and say make help. Yeah. But let's not care, we'll see how this looks compared to this. Alright, so I just do make help, and you see now this is looking nice. It gets all the comments dynamically. So if you want to add new targets, if you want to add a new target, all you need to do is put this here, have your comments, and update this. Maybe you can use this then. We're just trying to make some changes. Is it still recording? Okay. So you can do make help. You'll see that changes has been updated. You see here. So I think this is a good place to stop for Makefiles. You can go through the documentation and see some of the other things you can do on your Makefile. There are some other variables you can use. Here we used Makefile list, but there are some other variables you could use and try out. Thank you for watching this video. Hope this was helpful to you. If it was helpful, please give it a like and try to subscribe. Thanks.